Hey everybody, Cameron Black here from Gone Catchin Outfitters, and in this video we're going to go over bobberdogging. Now whether we're fishing for steelhead, spring chinook, or fall coho, the technique is relatively the same as far as in this video and getting you guys lined up for your day of fishing. Whether you're an experienced client or whether you're one of those guys that's just excited for the day and I've sent you this video, go over this video because we're going to be talking about how to cast efficiently, how to present the bait, how to set the hook, and also how to reel them in, most importantly. Now, we have to sometimes fish 3, 4, 5, 6 anglers in the boat. So when we run everything efficiently and effectively, we catch more fish and have a lot more enjoyable time on the water. Now with bobberdogging, there's a couple things you're gonna do before you even get ready to make your cast. One being, you're gonna check and make sure you have a gap between your lead and where your bobber is sitting. Your bobber is gonna ride on a couple bobber stops right there, and this gap allows us to cast a little smoother and allows the weight to sink a little bit faster once it hits the water. So you're gonna make sure that there's gonna be a gap right there. The second thing you're gonna do is, depending on whether you're using a bead or a bait, you're gonna make sure that that bead is not slid down against that hook. Now we have a couple tips and tricks on how to prevent that, but making sure that that bead is not riding right up against the hook before you cast is really important, because if a steelhead were to grab that, he wouldn't get the hook in his jaw because that bead is going to deflect that hook away. So making sure that you have a gap here and making sure that you have a gap here before you guys even get ready to cast is really important. So first thing we're going to go over is how to cast. Now when we're steelhead fishing, we're going to use 9, 10, 11 foot rods, and not a lot of people are used to using such a long rod. Now when you're casting, if you're making good clean casts and being effective at putting it in the right spot, it's gonna present to those fish a lot better, and you're gonna be fishing more of your time instead of constantly recasting. One way that we can do that is whenever we get ready to cast, we're gonna undo the hook and we're gonna set it off to the side that we're gonna cast. We all fish off the same side. We're gonna reel that bobber up about 6 inches from the tip, and then we're going to open the bail while grabbing the line with your finger here. Now, one thing about doing that is a lot of people tend to try to grab the line and hold it against the rod. And what that does is it creates an opportunity for this line to bounce off the reel and start causing us problems and tangles right here. So what we wanna do is we wanna reel that bobber about 6 inches from the tip. We wanna take our finger and just lightly hold the line. The weight of all the gear is gonna keep tension on the finger, and then this way, when we let that go to cast it, every single time we let it go, we get the same release, and that bobber is gonna do what you think it's gonna do. If you're grabbing it like this and you're putting multiple fingers or holding it really deep in this finger, it lets go a little bit differently every time, and those casts tend to drop short, go too far. They tend to not to do what you want. So that's one real sharp thing that we can make sure that we do when we're casting, to where we get a nice clean cast. So now that I've got my finger in position ready to cast, I've undone my hooks and I have it sitting forward on where I'm gonna cast. Now when I swing this rod back, I don't wanna do it real slow and have all my gear hanging down, because it's gonna tangle the tip or it's gonna risk coming into contact with another angler as I'm getting ready to do my backswing. So what I wanna do is I wanna have all my stuff out here presented to go. I wanna go up high, over, real aggressively, and it keeps everything away from all those rod tips into the anglers. Now, when it does end up back there, I am gonna do a pretty lengthy pause, and I'm gonna turn around and make sure that my gear and everything is straight and that it's gonna be ready to be casted. So I look back there, I made sure we're good, and now I'm gonna point and fire where I wanna go. So one of the worst things that can happen when we're bobberdogging is have one bait out there and another bait land on top of it, because both those rods have to come in and we have to reset and do the whole process over. So how we prevent that is the guys in the back of the boat are gonna cast one at a time first, starting here. First guy will cast, second guy will cast, third guy will cast, and what that does is it allows everyone to see where everything's working and basically make us more efficient going down the river. Now, the other thing we do is the guys in the first, that are gonna cast first, are gonna cast straight out, but as we move forward of the boat, they're gonna start spreading those baits out to where when the guys are in the front of the boat, sometimes they're gonna cast 45 degrees upstream. Honestly, it's a great place to be because the line, you don't have as much bow in it when you come in contact with the fish, and you can hook the fish a little quicker. But what we wanna do, it's really important to spread those out. We don't wanna keep reeling in 2 rods at a time because they keep landing on each other. So one thing interesting about bobberdogging is once you cast out and your gear hits the water, you actually need to leave the bail open and give it slack line. That slack line is going to allow that weight and stuff to sink down through that bobber and make bottom contact, which then it's going to present itself to steelhead. If you flip the bail right when your gear hits the water, you don't allow that gear to sink and it's not going to get in front of any fish. So what you want to do is once you cast out and you hit the bottom, you need to almost lift your rod up and keep that bail open and give it that extra line, because we want to see about 3 or 4 feet of line on the surface below the bobber, downstream of the bobber, before it bends back up to my rod tip. What that also does is it allows the bobber to continue to drift in a straight line down the river. If you lose that bend and you keep pulling on it, you keep working your gear, 2 things happen. One is it comes closer to the boat and then you have to recast it. And if you're constantly recasting, you're not being as efficient as you can. And 2, it also speeds up your line by lifting the weight off the bottom. And if you have 4 or 5 guys that are all presented out and you're the one that's constantly lifting that lead up off the bottom, you're gonna speed up and you're gonna start crashing into your other anglers, and then everybody has to reel in and we have to cast back out again. So just as a constant reminder, you want to have about 3 or 4 feet in front of that bobber flowing straight with the current before you have that bend come back to your rod, so you can be effectively bobberdogging. Now, one last tip when it comes to bobberdogging: you finally got your gear set and now we're going to drift 100, 200, a quarter mile down the river without recasting. You have to constantly be mending your line, whether you're letting a little bit of line off the bail or whether you're reeling up a little bit too much slack, because now instead of 3 to 4 feet below your bobber, you have 10 or 12 feet. You want to make sure that you're always doing something. Bobberdogging out here, it's really fun, it's really engaging, but you should be constantly working your rod and working your gear so you can continue to drift down the river. So with bobberdogging, you're contacting the bottom a lot, and since you're going to do that every now and then, you're going to snag. So the bobber goes down, your response is going to be reel till you're tight to it. If it's a fish, that rod's going to start throbbing, the fish is going to come out of the water. You're going to know right away if you have a fish on. But if it's a snag and it pulls tight, what you want to do is you're going to point at the direction where your snag is, get really tight, reach up and grab the spool with your hand to not allow the drag to go out and allow it to break. We use really light leaders, things will break off real easily. What you don't want to do is reach up and grab the line with your hand, because if the drag starts pulling out, this braided line could potentially cut you, and especially with cold, wet hands, it doesn't feel very good. So just reach up, grab the spool, pop the leader off, we'll get you another one, and we'll get you back to fishing. So last but not least, we finally hooked a steelhead, or we've hooked a salmon, and we're getting ready to land it. The drags should be set to where the fish is going to be able to pull line and not break off immediately, unless you do some hook setting actions, which you shouldn't be doing, or something crazy happens, because guess what? It's a wild animal and it happens every now and then. But when it comes to landing the fish, a lot of anglers, what they want to do is they want to get that fish close to the boat, they see it, and they want to drop that rod to the side and then try to pull the fish towards me. I don't want that to happen. I need that fish to stay away from the boat. We have long handles on the net, and we're gonna have a lot better time landing that fish out away from the boat than right up against it. If it gets up against it, it runs the risk of running line into the motors or into the side of the boat, which is gonna break the fish off. So when you're landing a fish, you're gonna wanna keep your body up against the rail of the boat here, and you're gonna wanna keep those rod tips straight out. And as you get close and we start telling you to lift, all you gotta do is lift straight up. You're gonna present that fish on the surface out where we can net them, and you're not gonna be putting that rod in my face trying to net it on the side of the boat. Hey guys, so in conclusion, bobberdogging might seem like it's really complicated, but honestly, as far as for me guiding new and experienced anglers alike, it is one of the most effective ways that I can be efficient on the water and catch you guys a lot of fish. It's also real fun and engaging. You're casting and you're kind of going through all the motions, and you get to hook your own fish, which is awesome. It's awesome for me to watch, and it's awesome for you guys to participate in. So if you guys haven't gotten your trips booked for the year, just remember, at Gone Catchin Outfitters, we always have our books open. You can even book for 2028 right now if you'd like to. We make that available to you guys so you can get your dates set and we can get you guys on the most productive fishing. So check out www.gonecatching.com, and hopefully we'll see you guys in the boats this year.